When I was compiling my list for Sephora recommendations, I was pulling out some oldies but goodies, and I decided to go back into my videos and kind of take a look at like my favorites and other makeup that I was really enjoying back in like 2017, maybe 2018, and seeing like what I was still loving, what still existed. I think possibly, and you guys can let me know down below in the comment section, I think possibly some of these have been reformulated. I know maybe packaging has changed over the years, or shade ranges have been expanded. So things like that, but I'm not exactly sure about formula. Anyway, I thought I would share with you products that I have been loving for a really long time. Products that have really stood the test of time, because you know, beauty companies, they are fast to like discontinue a makeup product. So yeah, I pulled out a bunch of stuff that I've been loving for a really long time. Many of you also have been asking me, especially when I did my Sephora recommendations, like, you know, am I still loving this? Or like, what happened to this product or whatever? A lot of the products you were asking about weren't actually carried at Sephora. So I thought I would make this video. Some of these things are carried at Sephora. I believe the day this video is going up, the holiday savings event is still going on. It could be the last day. So I'll let you know what's available at Sephora. So I'm going to go ahead and start with foundation. One of my all-time favorite foundations, and probably my favorite liquid foundation, I have loved for a long time. It's probably a little bit newer in comparison to some of these other products, but this has been around a long time. This is the Surratt Dewdrop Foundation. It's probably 3 or 4 years old at this point, and from the first time I ever used this product, I was like, what's happening? It was like one of those products where I was like, wait, this is really good, right? And I would keep using it and keep using it. And it was like, oh my God, it was glorious every single time. So I've got shade 3. It's what I have on my face today. And I think what I love about it is that it has a very light medium coverage. And that's what I like. You know, I don't like a really heavy, cakey, like full coverage kind of foundation. I like a bit of my real skin to shine through. But what this foundation does, I think better than any other liquid foundation I've ever used, is it blurs. It blurs, it refracts light, so it looks like you have a filter over your face. It just makes my complexion look soft. It makes it look really like soft, filtered, like I said, and perfect it in a way that is less about just like coverage and covering up blemishes or covering up sunspots or whatever, and more about like fooling the eye. And it is really just very magical. So long time love, still love it, still probably my favorite liquid foundation. Now this product actually appeared in one of my favorites, I think from like 2017 or 16. And I know at that point it had been around for a little while. So this has been around for quite some time. This is La Mer, the Radiant Skin Tint in SPF 30. Now this is one of those products that I'm not sure whether or not they reformulated. I don't think so, but they did expand the shade range, I want to say a couple years ago. So I used to use, it was like shade 12. It's now shade 22, light 22. This is such a gorgeous skin tint with SPF 30. So it's got some skincare benefits in there. It is a La Mer product, but it just feels great on the skin. I feel like when I'm putting this on, I'm just putting on like, you know, like an extra layer of moisturizer. It's so comforting feeling. And it's a gorgeous skin tint. It is just a tint. So again, a light medium coverage. You can use my fingers and just massage it into my skin. It stays put all day. It has a really beautiful, slightly luminous finish to it. I wouldn't say it looks like oily or greasy or anything, but it's really stunning. And this is probably my 3rd tube of this. Going strong, still love it. Oh, and this is available at Sephora. I've mentioned this in so many of my Sephora recommendations video. I decided to skip it in this last one, but highly recommend this skin tint. So this next product I came across when I was going through some of my favorites videos, I think from 2017. And this is still a product that I use, I love, despite having a lot of new favorites in this category. This is Chanel's Longwear Concealer, and I have it in the shade 20 Beige. I think this is my 2nd tube of this. I think obviously the first one that I had was way too old, but you can even, actually you can see how much I've used of this. It's getting down in there. Anyway, I have this around my eyes. I have this around my nose. It is just great. It's just a great straight up concealer. It's got a doe foot applicator. It has a nice creamy texture. I would say for a concealer, the coverage is like medium high. It's just a great like everyday concealer. The shade 20 is perfect for me. If you guys use me as a shade reference, 20 I think will work for you. It's just glorious. It's just such a great like workhorse product. Oh, and when I was in Milan and the makeup artist who did my makeup, she used this product on me. She was like, I'm just, going to use a little bit. It's very light, because we kept talking about how I like very natural kind of makeup. And I was like, oh my gosh, I love that concealer. I use it all the time. So we were kind of chatting about this and bonding over that. So that is the Chanel Longwear Concealer. And again, I use shade 20. Okay. Oh my gosh. So many of these products make me feel nostalgic. I love it. I love it. I hope you guys will let me know down below in the comment section, like products that you just repurchase and repurchase that you've loved for years and years and years, that you just depend on and you just hope to God the company doesn't discontinue it or change the formula or whatever. Let me know down below in the comment section. Okay. Let's talk about these Tom Ford Shade and Illuminate duos. So, another product that I feel like I've recommended during these Sephora recommendation videos so much, so I decided to skip it this time, but these are available at Sephora and I love them. I have 3 shades. I have shade Intensity 0.5, 1, and 2. So let me start with Intensity 0.5. So this is the contour that I have on today. I have it basically underneath my cheekbones, around my forehead, a little bit underneath my chin, and a little bit like down the sides of my nose. So this is such a great cream product. I feel like it has such a great formula. It is, pigmented without being overly pigmented where you feel like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be blending out for like hours. It just blends out beautifully. It blends out seamlessly. And I love, love, love the shade of this contour because it is definitely cool toned, but it's not too cool. It's not too gray, but there really isn't that much warmth to it. So it's a really wonderful contour shade. So that is 0.5. And then here is Intensity 1. I have it in a limited edition packaging from spring summer 2018. My goodness, it is probably time for me to get rid of this, but they're still fine. They don't smell weird or anything. Okay, this is Intensity 1. And the highlight in both Intensity 0.5 and Intensity 1 is the same. It looks like it's white in the pan, but really it's kind of clear, a little milky with a little bit of like a shimmer to it. It's just like what they just came out with, their Soleil Neige collection with the blush and the highlight. And when I reviewed that, I talked about how I wish they took the opportunity to change up that highlight, but it's the same. It's the same as it is in 0.5 and 1. Anyway, I'm not going to swatch those because they're barely noticeable. However, this is Intensity 2. And admittedly, the contour shade in here is a little bit too deep for me. So there is 2. So 0.5, 1, 2. But I love, love, love the highlight in here because it is different. It is a little bit deeper. And it just has the most gorgeous, like peachy undertone with a gold sheen. Isn't that so pretty? That's pretty much why I got Intensity 2. It's just stunning. It's stunning, like right on the cheeks. I have something else on, but I did want to mention that in terms of Intensity 2. Okay, the formula is wonderful. Like I said, blends out beautifully. I love, love, love the shade of Intensity 0.5 in terms of the contour. I got Intensity 1 when that was the lightest shade in the range. I got that in 2018, and I think I even replaced an older one at that point. So anyway, a product I've had forever, I still love, I still reach for. I should probably change out this one. Yeah, 2018, what does that make it? More than 6 years old? Yeah, that's pretty gross. Okay, this is actually a product that I did mention during my Sephora recommendations video, and this was one of the products that really, I don't know, kind of like brought me down this rabbit hole where I was like, oh God, there's so many good products that are still around that have stood the test of time. This is the Charlotte Tilbury Film Star Bronze and Glow. And I have this crystal packaging from holiday, I don't know, maybe like 5 years ago. This is so old that I actually went to Sephora and got a new one to replace this because I was like, I love this product. I love it. I'm just gonna get another one. and replace it. So this one's brand new. This is the highlight that I have on because I believe I used this during my Sephora recommendations video. This is what I had on. So I thought, let me put on the highlight. It's such a creamy highlight. I love that Charlotte Tilbury got this like so long ago and hasn't changed it one bit. So she has this duo for light medium, and then she has one for deeper skin tones, which is also gorgeous. It has like a bronzer in there with like a really kind of like burnt undertone, which is just absolutely gorgeous if you want to like bronze up your skin. But anyway, this is perfect for my skin tone. The highlight, the contour, it's gorgeous. The powder's like just buttery soft, but they're just a pressed powder, nothing fancy, not hard to use. Pretty much any brush that I have in my collection I've used with this product and it's worked fine. It just blends out like a dream. The level of pigmentation is spot on. I'm not surprised that this has stood the test of time because it is really just stupendous. And I had to, of course, talk about the Sicily bronzer. This is their Sun Glow Bronzing Gel Powder. Now this is straight up a bronzer, and I have this very lightly dusted kind of all over my face. I would not really use this as a contour. It's a little bit too warm for that. As you can see, there is quite a bit of warmth there. And this is a product I feel like I will always have in my collection because it is a beautiful, beautiful bronze. It has a gorgeous metallic sheen to it. You guys can probably tell that I'm not the biggest fan of like matte products for my face. I really like products that have like a little bit of sheen to them, or at least have like a luminous kind of finish to them. This is stunning. And this is the very first like baked gelée product that I ever used. And at first I remember I used like a synthetic brush to try and apply it. It just didn't work. You need like a dense brush, a natural hair brush, a brush that's going to be able to like pick up this product to really, really appreciate it. But as you guys know, I love a baked gel powder formula. I just think they're absolutely beautiful, stunning. They build up beautifully. They have such a soft kind of touch to them. And this was the first product that I ever used that had me fall in love with this particular formula. And this is a product, it's been in Sicily's line for as long as I can remember. I don't know exactly how long. This is the second one that I've had because they changed the packaging to this gold. But the previous version I had was this, but it was like silver toned. It is amazing. Again, another product I am not surprised at all, has stood the test of time. Okay, let's talk about a couple of blush products. Now, I'm not sure. I mean, I think these are still around. They're still on the company's website. However, a couple of the shades have been out of stock for a while. It could just be that they're restocking. I'm going to go with that because these are the Clé de Peau cream blushes, and I love these so much. There's only 4 shades. I have all 4. Let me just open up number 4 because I believe this is the first one I ever got. I don't know how I dinged it, but I dinged it. This has a gorgeous, you can probably tell, a gorgeous slight sheen to it. Look how gorgeous that is. Look at that finish. Just the most subtle metallic finish there. Isn't that stunning? So that's number 4. Number 3 is this bright peach. This has a much softer kind of metallic sheen to it, but just barely there, just enough to keep it from looking, you know, too flat. And then I guess we're working backwards. This one's number 2. This has a similar sheen to number 4, and it's much pinkier. So that's number 2. And then here is number 1. The slight metallic sheen. This is like a beautiful like cranberry shade. So I remember falling in love with these blushes so early on. I think I was watching another YouTuber, I can't recall because this is literally like 7 years ago, 7 or 8 years ago. And they were going on and on about these blushes. And I have to admit, like these aren't that impressive looking because I think I've seen them at the Clé de Peau counter here. And I was like, okay, whatever. But I was influenced. I tried them out for myself and I was like, these are incredible. They just blend out effortlessly. They're so easy to use and they last all day. And cream blushes have come a long way. I will definitely say that they have come a long way. But back in the day, it was kind of hard to find a cream blush that really performed well, that really blended out beautifully, that wasn't, you know, kind of messy, that wasn't tacky. Your hair wouldn't stick into it. It wouldn't fade within a few hours. Clé de Peau was probably the very first cream blush I ever experienced that was like worth experiencing. It was and still is phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. I hope they don't get rid of these, but these have been around for a very, very long time. And I know Clé de Peau seems to be kind of going through all of their different product lines and like redoing them, but I hope they don't touch these. I hope they don't touch these. Anyway, I love these so, so much. All right, next up are the cheek gelées from Chantecaille. I love these. I love these. I have Happy on today. I've got this shade on my cheeks today. And these, just like the Clé de Peau, have just this really subtle, beautiful, like metallic sheen to them. And these gelées are so beautiful because they're not really just like a straight up cream. They are like a gel cream hybrid. Look at that. Is that not gorgeous? And this was definitely one of the first products I ever used from Chantecaille where I was like, what is happening here? This is incredible. This next shade is Lively. I've got Happy, which is pinker, Lively, which is peachier. And this is definitely at least the second go round of these that I've had because yeah, I know I had to declutter some older ones. Those were definitely way too old. And then I re-upped. So this is Vibrant. I remember this shade is probably one of the newer ones and it came out, I believe, during like the holidays. But look at that, it's red. And it does have a sheen as well as these two. Just gorgeous. And I was looking at all of the cream products that Chantecaille has that comes, you know, in these tubes. I love the highlighters as well. And the gel bronzer, that is actually probably an even older love, but I love these cheek gelées the most. I was sitting there thinking, I'm like, oof, which would I pick? You know, like, what do I think is the absolute best, at least out of those three from Chantecaille? Yeah, because I think they all entered my life around the same time, but the cheek gelées won out. These are just absolutely gorgeous. They blend out beautifully and they have that like really subtle metallic sheen that just gives my cheeks life. So of course, had to mention those. You know, and then for eyeshadow, this was kind of tough because I feel like a lot of eyeshadows come and go. A lot of eyeshadow palettes I love have been discontinued or the formula has changed. Like I love, love, love the Natasha Denona 28 pan palettes. I'm not sure that she's still making them, but I love the green brown one. I don't know that she's still making those. There's a few of the older like Tom Ford quads that I love, but those, you know, have been discontinued. Some of the newer ones I like, but those have not stood the test of time yet. I was going through my older videos. I was going through my collection. I was like, what do I still have that I had like when I first started my channel, basically? And it is these Viseart neutral mattes. And that's what I have on my list today. I did use a shimmer shade, which I'll talk about in a second. I do have a shimmer shade like on the inner portion of my lid, but everything else is from the neutral mattes. Can we just take a moment? Like this, this palette, it is irreplaceable. All mattes, you know, Viseart is a brand that is dedicated to and geared towards makeup artists. And this is in everyone's kit. Just the perfect neutral matte shades. Just absolutely gorgeous. It goes a little bit cooler, it goes a little bit warmer. Their matte formula is so good. I feel like it blends out perfectly. I feel like they work like paints because I can mix them together and create a shade that's like in between. So like this dark shade on my outer corners, I use the deep brown here and this like warm gray color. Basically, I mixed these two together because I wanted something just a little bit lighter and like a little bit cooler than this. And this of course was too light for me to use to kind of deepen up my outer corner. So I just mixed the two and I got something like right in between. It's so, so good. And not a lot of shadows can do that. A lot of shadows just end up looking very muddy or one color just takes over the other. But these shadows are they're just impeccable. The formula's impeccable. I love all of these like basic palettes that Viseart has had. And this, I mean, how old is this? 20 years, 30 years? I don't know, but this was long on the scene before I even started YouTube, before I even got back into makeup. And we don't really talk about this palette anymore, and we should. We should. It's so good. So wanted to mention that one. But what I do want to mention is, Viseart has started coming out with, I want to say like consumer friendlier palettes, not ones that are just really geared towards makeup artists. And this Kashmiri palette is one of my all-time favorite like cool toned palettes. And I have this shade over here. That's what I have basically on the inner portion of my lid. But these palettes are so great. I mean, look how beautiful this color palette is. It is stunning. And I remember, again, way back in the day, one of the, complaints was that the Viseart shimmer shadows weren't shimmery enough, and this was when, makeup beauty influencers were starting to get really big on YouTube. And so the makeup looks were, really extravagant and they were really, really glam and everything. And Viseart, again, for makeup artists, their shimmers just weren't like these crazy, like foiled shadows, because if you think about print work or if you think about doing makeup for like TV or film, the last thing you need is for like those bright lights to catch like a glittery eyeshadow. It would be completely distracting. It wouldn't make sense. But anyway, I remember people criticizing Viseart for that. And I was like, what do you expect them to do? But anyway, they started to create some palettes for us in mind. And these shimmers that they've come out with in these newer like fold out palettes, these shimmers are great. They're great. I think they're really bright. They're really beautiful. They're super smooth. You're never going to get like a chunky shade from Viseart. Just gorgeous. So of course, I had to mention this guy because talk about standing the test of time. This guy is incredible. Oh, here's another product I mentioned during my Sephora recommendations. This is the Glossier Boy Brow. This is the first product that I got from Glossier that I fell in love with. And it was probably the very first like brow gel or brow pomade that I ever used. And I think they only had like 3 shades back then. So I just used, I think I went between like black and they had like a dark brown. And, since then, of course, I've come across the Tom Ford Fiber Brow Gel, which would have appeared in this video if they didn't keep changing the formula or keep teasing us. I'm still not sure whether or not they're continuing with that product. I love like the Persona brow gel. I've been getting on really well with like a lot of the Benefit ones. There's the $1 billion brow ones. Anyway, in most recent times, of course, I've come across a ton of brow gels that I loved, but this one I loved like way back in the day, right? 7, 8 years ago. And they've expanded their shade range, which I was so pleasantly surprised about because I use a shade gray. And I think this was also the first time I'd ever seen a spoolie this small. I was like, wow, that is so tiny. I love it. So that's what I have in my brows today. And it's so good. It's just a great like brow. I don't want to say it's a gel because it never really like gets crispy or like sets down to the point where like your brows are hard in any way. It's more like a pomade and I love it. I love it. So that's the Glossier Boy Brow. And then for lips, okay, talk about a product where companies discontinue, reformulate, blah, 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 blah. And so, I, of course, have a lot of longtime loves, but I'm like, they don't make this anymore or they discontinue this color or whatever. But I do have 3 products in here that have not been reformulated, have not changed at all. I still love the actual colors. I mean, just incredible. So I'm going to start with what I have on my lips. And if you guys have been watching me for a long time, this is not going to be a surprise. It is the Chanel Rouge Coco Gloss in 804 Rose Naif. This is a product that I picked up on one of my first trips back to New York. And so this is probably, I don't know, seven years old. But this product has been around with Chanel for a very, very long time. Just for me, it was probably about like 7 years ago. And this, when I pair it with a lip liner, and I've paired it with the Makeup Forever Anywhere Caffeine lip liner, the Artist Color Pencil. So you use a lip liner that's a little bit deeper. It's like a little bit more of a contour. And then you put this on. I swear to you, because this happened to me several times, people are going to ask you if you just got your lips done. I don't get my lips done. I don't have any filler or anything, but I was like, oh, well, thank you. Oh my. It just makes your lips look fuller, juicier, and plumper without having any kind of plumping anything, without having any kind of tingling sensation. I mean, nothing like that. This Gloss doesn't even have a scent. It is just a straight up gloss, but there's something about this color, the like level of glossiness. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it's gonna make your lips look like you just got them done. I swear to you. 804 Chanel Rouge Coco Gloss. It is still hands down one of the best glosses I have in my collection. I, again, hope they never ever discontinue this, but I just found this on their website, so it's still there and they're still making it. Did they reformulate this? Because I feel like the glosses went away for a while and then they came back. Did they reformulate this? Let me know down below in the comment section. The next lip product I wanted to mention is the Sicily Fito Lip Twist. You guys, this has been around forever. And this is one of the first Sicily makeup products that I ever got. I fell in love with this lip twist. And this lip twist, I think, is what got me down the road of like these chubby lip pencils. I just love this like form that lipsticks come in now. So this is shade number 1. This is a brand new one because the one that I had was so old and disgusting. But I got this, I think, in last year's Sicily Advent Calendar. But look at this cool nude shade. And it's like just a slight tint. It's very balmy. Look at that metallic sheen. Is that not beautiful? And it's such a beautiful, cool tone. I found it challenging back when I discovered this, again, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, where I couldn't find a lip color that was cool enough. I felt like anytime I put on a lip color on my lips, it would warm up a little bit. There'd end up being kind of like an orange undertone. And sometimes I couldn't see it in the bullet. Sometimes even when I swatched it, I couldn't see it. It was like when I put it over like my lips, my lip color, or, you know, it would mix with my body chemistry or whatever, it would warm up a little bit. And I was like, oh, like I want something really, really cool toned. And this was one of the first lip products that I came across that I was like, oh my God, that is like straight up cool toned. It's like a grayish lilac mauvey color. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it's so easy to apply. Again, it comes in this like pencil form, this like chubby crayon form. And it's so, so great. I know Sicily has since expanded their line. They have like matte versions or whatever, but like their basic colors in the moisturizing balmy formula, so, so good. So good. Number 1 is absolutely my favorite. Okay, the last lip product I want to mention are these Surratt lip slicks. I have loved these for so long. This is another product that appeared in like one of my 2017 favorites. So I have a ton of shades here. And this is like actually cleaned out or whatever because I had a batch that was just too old. But I love Nude de Soleil and Club Sept. I think all of these shades still exist. I know their formula is still the same, but I think they've been tweaking their shade range. Anyway, the Nude de Soleil is just such a gorgeous nude shade. You're gonna see a lot of similarities between the lip slick and the Sicily pencil, but do you see that? Balmy, light pigmentation, just gorgeous, gorgeous. That was Nude de Soleil. This is Club Sept. This is a little bit deeper and a little bit more brown. Oh, I love these shades so much. Gorgeous. I think a shade that is probably a little bit more universally flattering, shall we say, is the Heaven shade, but it's like a pinky rose shade. And Heaven, spelled H-E-V-Y-N, was basically named after Kevin Aucoin, who I believe Troye Sirotte worked under and, you know, became very, very close friends with. And I think he's even made a documentary about Kevin. Anyway, he named the shade Heaven because Kevin Aucoin is no longer with us and spelled it with the H. Isn't that great? Anyway, that is the Surratt Lip Slick. Such a good formula, such a good formula. And that's the second Surratt product that I've mentioned, but I could probably mention almost every Surratt product. I do want to just throw in there his artistic shadows and blushes. I think this says it all. I've had this like little homemade palette for so long. This is from Adept Cosmetics. I think you can get it off their website, but I actually ordered this off of Amazon. I don't know if it's still there. I'll link it down below if it is. But I remember watching a very old interview of Troye Sirotte's on YouTube. maybe it was with like Vogue or something. Anyway, he was talking about the process of his products, these artistic products, specifically the eyeshadows and the blushes, and how they use this like Japanese slurry process to create those products. And you know what's funny is there's all that talk about those Patrick Ta duos that have come out. They're very expensive, they're super glittery or whatever. And I saw like a brief snippet of Patrick Ta talking about those, and he mentions how those products use like a slurry technique. And I was like, I've heard that before. And it reminded me of the Surratt artistic shadows, but these are so, so great. They are essentially like a powder product, but once you use them, they like melt onto the skin like a cream, like a very lightweight kind of like souffle cream, if you will. So anyway, those are all the products that have stood the test of time, that I can't live without, that have just been around forever. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to be naming this video, but I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this little walk down memory lane was as fun for you as it was for me. Again, let me know down below in the comment section, like, yeah, what are the things that you've just been using forever, forever, and that you just don't even think about anymore, you just repurchase over and over again? I would love to hear from you. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video.